BBC, this is Frank Gillon here, recording just outside Tilly.
With us exactly as she did 50 years ago, greeted by a huge crowd. The Queen and Princess Margaret were at her side, as they were on May the 8th, 1945, to mark victory in Europe. Tonight, beacons of remembrance for those who died are burning across the country.
The moment a vast crowd had waited for. The Queen Mother, the Queen and Princess Margaret on the balcony of Buckingham Palace. They came in their tens of thousands, as they did on the same day in 1945. As the nation celebrated the end of the years of war, King George was there with his family on the same balcony. In 1995, the old songs were never more appropriate. Vera Lynn was there to lead the throng.
There'll be bluebirds over white cliffs of Dover.
More wartime reminders, aircraft that had played their part. The blackout in defence against German planes was lifted on VE Day.
You can't imagine how awful the blackout had been. Everything was dark and everything was, you know, gloomy and everything. Suddenly, the lights came on and lit up the poor old battle-scarred palace.
Today, the palace was at the heart of national celebration. Many of the onlookers had been outside Buckingham Palace that first joyful VE Day.
It all came back to me, the whole thing, as if I could touch it and taste it and smell it, as if I'd got it in my hand, and now I've got it in my heart, and there's nobody going to move that. Absolutely wonderful.
Other enjoyment. Never really looks like fun.
The VE Day celebration, the anniversary of anniversaries, could end in one way only, with a bang of fireworks. They finished about half an hour ago. A huge crowd crammed Hyde Park to bring this extraordinary weekend to a close. After the intense seesaw emotions of the weekend, we could ooh and gasp at the display. Hello again from Hyde Park, where the crowds have made their way home after an intense weekend of events, commemorations and celebrations. They've been large, cheerful, happy and, above all, genuinely involved in the thoughts of what happened 50 years ago. Nowhere more than in the Channel Islands, the only part of the United Kingdom to suffer Nazi occupation, the only part to have its liberation delayed by a day. So let's join Juliet Morris in Guernsey.
Here in the Channel Islands, the burning beacon behind me heralds the end of what has been a great day in many respects. Thousands of people have turned out to celebrate Victory in Europe Day. Here in Guernsey, the morning began with a Thanksgiving service at the German underground military hospital. That was a sombre affair. Many forced labourers were used to build the hospital. It took 3.5 years to build in very harsh conditions, and many people lost their lives. There was also, though, a lot of laughter and a lot of joy across the islands. Loads of street parties, lots of people having fun, young and old joining in alike. And then tonight, of course, we had the torchlight procession, thousands of people turning out to end this Victory in Europe Day. But of course, here the parties will continue, because tomorrow is the official day when the Channel Islands were liberated. It's a public holiday, so I'm sure there'll be much more fun yet to come.
The end of the 2-minute silence to one of those lost in the war was followed by the lighting of the beacon. As a boy, Dennis Georges had watched his city burn from here on Portsdown Hill. 50 years on, he returned to light flames with a very different meaning. Hundreds of people had made their way up the hill to see the event. It's been a tremendous weekend of celebrations. And by the way, the parties continue down there in the streets of Portsmouth, and bonfires have been springing up around the city, almost in reply to the beacon that lights up the night sky here. This particular message of peace will burn out sometime during the night, but let's hope that its significance continues to burn in the minds of every generation that follows.
The dying embers of Edinburgh's beacon. And that's the view from atop our vantage point on Carlton Hill, high above the capital city. And as you can see, it's bathed in twilight now as the sun just goes down above the capital. Well, it's been a day of some rejoicing and reflection here. Hundreds turned out to see the Lord Provost light our beacon. And that started a chain of events across Scotland, from Girvan in the southwest coast to Aberdeen in the northeast, to Hawick in the borders. And we could clearly see 23 miles away the beacon atop North Berwick Law across the Firth of Forth. We commemorate the end of the war in Europe 50 years ago tonight. It's been an evening of rejoicing and reflection in Scotland.
Here in Bangor, Northern Ireland, the party's going on into the night. Speaking personally, my cardiologist might think I'd be better off in a hot bath with a hot whiskey, but I'm celebrating on with grim determination. Keep smiling, just like we'll always do. And we'll shine through dark clouds far away. Boom, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Richard, please say hello to the folks that I know. Tell them I not belong.
One of the great Ulstermen, and he can sing in tune as well. It already seems a long time since the weekend of events started on Saturday morning, remembering and honouring those who served, those who fought, those who backed up, those who just did their bit for the war effort. That was where the weekend started. There was only one person who could have possibly presided over such an opening, the person who presided over the rejoicing at the closing of the war, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. But while the weekend always looked back with pride and honour, it carefully looked forward with hope as well to a better, peaceful world, and the lighting of the flame in the globe of peace, the flames brought down from the three national capitals, was part of the essential symbolism of the weekend, representing a new hope.
It gives me very great pleasure to inaugurate the 50th anniversary of VE Day. This day will bring back many memories to many people. And I do hope that all those who go to the many ceremonies arranged will remember with pride and gratitude those men and women, armed and unarmed, whose courage and foresight rarely helped to bring us to victory. God bless them all.
For Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother! Hip, hip, hip! Hooray! Hip, hip, hip! Hooray! Hip, hip, hip! Hooray!
And at the end, special words from the Queen Mother for holders of the George Cross and the Victoria Cross, those special awards for valour. Now, even on such a blisteringly hot day as Saturday was, people were reluctant to leave. The park had to be cleared before those lucky enough to have tickets for the Royal British Legion's VE Day celebration concert in the evening could be let in. Now, we being here the whole time, we'd been lucky enough to witness the rehearsals, and like all rehearsals, we could only assume that it would be all right on the night. Well, the crowd streamed in, up to 100,000, a glorious sight, and they got what they'd come for.
Just you wait and see. There'll be love and laughter and peace ever after. Tomorrow, when the world is free. The shepherd will tend his sheep. The valley will bloom again. And Jimmy will go to sleep in his own little room again. There'll be blue. Tomorrow, just you wait and see.
Well, on Sunday, the tone and mood changed. This was the day of the heads of state, leaders and high-ranking representatives of Britain's wartime allies, of those who we fought against, of those whose states didn't exist at the time, but who were engaged in conflict as part of the empires who were fighting one another, the British Empire, the Soviet Union, Germany, and so on. Now, attending a great service of thanksgiving and reconciliation was one thing. The afternoon event was much more tricky. In Hyde Park, the national leaders from the Queen onwards took something of a risk by participating in a specially created ceremonial that was artless, simple, innocent, and in the best sense, childlike. Put simply, they allowed themselves to be led by children to do something that worldly-wise politicians would never do, publicly pledging themselves to work for peace. But Sunday began in a very different mood at St. Paul's Cathedral. perhaps one of the most poignant moments, President Mitterrand of France making his last international appearance as President of France. It's President Chirac now. And in the afternoon, that childlike ceremonial in which they'd all agreed to take part.
There follows a moment to send a tremor of nervousness through crowned head and commentator alike, as each head of state has to make his or her way into the throng and find the small child wearing a sash with the appropriate national flag. And warm greetings for these children from Enfield. As flags are found, the procession is accompanied by children of the Voices Foundation from Finchley and Birmingham and Scunthorpe, singing One Choice Away. Her Majesty making her way towards this globe that's decked out in 200,000 and more flowers. Once in place, the heads of state will be met by 4 children from their own country, presented with flowers representing that country, orchids from Armenia, red carnations from Azerbaijan, water lilies from Bangladesh, cyclamen from Cyprus.
And this morning it was National Family Day. It was a sort of return to a time warp, a jolting reminder of how long 50 years is and how short. Was it only 50 years ago, we said, as almost 2 generations seemed to slip by. For 50 years ago, the nation greeted the royal family on the balcony at Buckingham Palace as the crowd sought to share their joy. And of course, Winston, the Prime Minister and war leader, was just that, another member of the wartime family. And those huge crowds outside Buckingham Palace and the Mall then moved on to Hyde Park. They closed the gates this afternoon, then they had to clear the crowds out, and another huge crowd appeared this evening for important part of the celebrations led by the actor Robert Hardy.
And so let us stand across the nation and remember in silence all those who made the ultimate sacrifice